We can't always fight nature, John. We can't fight change. Can't fight gravity. We can't fight nothing. My whole life, all I ever did was fight.
Charisma, vision, paranoia, savagery, madness. These traits can be used to describe Dutch Van Der Linde, but they barely scratch the surface of the enigma that he is. Beneath the facade of leadership lies a man shaped by a world in transition, caught in the crossfire between his ideals and the relentless march of time. While people often see him as a villain or as an antagonist who has lost grip on reality, I believe he had a vision that can be easily missed. There's more to him than just a meme about having a plan, faith, or Tahiti. Every good story leans heavily on its characters, especially the villains. They are the ones who truly carry the story forward and make the hero that much better in our eyes. And the best villains are those we can actually relate to. Not that you agree with their reasoning or motivations, but you can understand how they got there. Think about the works like Shawshank Redemption or Braveheart. Stories that remain etched in our collective memory because they challenge our perceptions of freedom and societal constraints. And in this vein, Red Dead Redemption 2 gives us a narrative that is as uncomfortable as it is unforgettable. And this narrative is driven in many ways by one man in particular. Regardless if you love or hate him, he's one of the greatest characters ever written by Rockstar, and I believe it's worth exploring and understanding his character more than just saying he's lost his grip. After all, Dutch is the man who led, the man who inspired, and the man who started the Van Der Linde gang.
We are not criminals. We are outlaws.
There's a difference?
Of course there is a goddamn difference, and when you figure out what that is, you'll know what the hell we're doing. Wake him up a little! Ladies and gentlemen, this is a robbery. I have a goddamn plan! Arthur, do you have my back?
Always, Dutch. But there's more than your back to worry about.
Unlike Arthur Morgan, who we covered in the previous video, Dutch is a character who constantly keeps you guessing. At times he's this beacon of hope, a charismatic leader who dreams of a world unshackled by society's chains. But then there are moments when his decisions make you raise an eyebrow or two, questioning his motives. Is he a visionary or a madman? Or perhaps a bit of both? See, Dutch isn't just a man with a plan. He's a symbol of a dying era of dreams that are crushed by the weight of progress. And as the story unfolds, we watch his struggle, his desperation to hold on to a world that's slipping away. His decline isn't just about his personal journey, but a reflection of the times they lived in. So while Arthur gives us the intimate, personal story of a man grappling with his past and his loyalties, Dutch delivers the grander tale of a dreamer wrestling with a world that simply won't stop evolving. It's hard not to get pulled into his orbit, and whether he's giving a rallying speech or leading his gang to another heist, there's always a sense of depth and complexity to him. And that's the beauty of Dutch Van Der Linde, a character so richly crafted that he leaves a permanent mark on the game's narrative, reminding us that even in the Wild West, the battle wasn't just against outlaws and lawmen, but also against the time and change.
You robbed me, sir.
And you robbed him. Funny world.
You show a criminal's grasp of sophistry, sir. I did no such thing.
You kill. I kill. You rob. I rob. Only difference I can see is I choose whom I kill and rob, and you destroy everything in your path.
I've heard just about enough.
I'll tell you what. You give me this shit, $10,000 and safe passage out of here, I'll let you live.
I'll do no such thing.
You sure? Good. I prefer it this way.
When you sit down to watch a movie or play a game, there are always those characters that just Bop. You know the ones. Characters so magnetic, so alive, that they seem to break the fourth wall without even trying. And Dutch? Oh, he doesn't just break the wall. He strides through it with swagger, charisma, and a pocket full of lofty dreams. Sure, Dutch's brand of idealism might sound like the ravings of your college roommate after one too many hours of listening to Joe Rogan podcast. But here's the thing, like many of cinema's great dreamers, from Jay Gatsby chasing his green light, to Rick Blaine in Casablanca lemonading the problems of the world not amounting to a hill of beans, Dutch's dreams are potent, compelling, and tragically doomed. Yet, it's not all Shakespearean tragedy and ill-fated dreams. Dutch's fight with the new world isn't just a war of words. It's visceral, it's raw, it's in every gunshot, every train heist, every glance he throws at the looming specter of industrialization. I mean, every time he goes head-to-head with modernization, you can almost hear the background score ticking points in this battle between Dutch and the industrialized world.
Listen to me. We don't want to kill any of you. Any more of you. I give you my word, but trust me, we will.
I work for Leviticus Cornwall.
Come on, boys.
We got our orders.
Okay, you asked for it.
We ain't
5,
opening this door.
4, 3, 2, 1. Seems our friends have gone deaf. Wake them up a little.
But let's take a second to talk about those trains. The mighty, smoke-belching symbols of progress. In the world of Red Dead Redemption 2, they're not just for scenic rides, or a way to conveniently getting away from those pesky lawmen when you fail to get rid of all the witnesses. No. They're metaphors on wheels, screaming of the inevitable march of time. If Dutch is the old world, these trains are the new. And here we are, the players, stuck in the middle, torn between the nostalgia of a bygone era and the unstoppable pull of progress. It's like watching Madonna trying to release new music in today's world of TikTok and kick streaming nonsense. You root for them, but there's a sinking feeling knowing that the world has moved on and they're just struggling in vain.
It's over! No more bargains, no more deals.
Mr. Milton, this is America. You can always cut a deal.
I've given you enough chances.
Come on!
We've all witnessed characters who undergo dramatic transformations on screen. Take Walter White from Breaking Bad, for instance. He starts as an innocent high school chemistry teacher, but morphs into a ruthless drug kingpin as circumstances and choices push him deeper into the criminal underworld. It's a slow, burning descent, every step carefully documented, making us both root for them and to avert our eyes at certain times. Similarly, Dutch doesn't evolve in the traditional sense of a hero becoming better. Instead, we watch as layers of his character peel back, revealing a more complex and at times darker individual underneath. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, and you just can't look away. But do you remember those early days? Those sun-soaked moments in Horseshoe Overlook, where Dutch was every bit the leader, rational, decisive, and focused. His choices, even if on the wrong side of the law, had a method to madness. But the weight of his choices introduces this persistent pressure which becomes overwhelming over time and has a way of showing us who we truly are. Continuing the fight with a man like Cornwall wasn't just a high-risk move, it was suicidal. But there's Dutch, brimming with confidence, maybe a tad bit of arrogance, and a sprinkle of desperation. And then the walls are closing in, the times are changing fast, and here he is, making choices that's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. The choice to eliminate Angelo Bronte, for instance, wasn't merely an act of revenge. It was a bold declaration, a moment where Dutch seemed to be clawing back some control in a world where he felt increasingly trapped.
All your men, all your money, it weren't no match for a bunch of bumpkins.
You are nothing. You do nothing, you mean nothing, you stand for nothing. Me, I run a city. And when the law catch up to you, you will die like nothing. I am this country, you are what people are running from.
I possess things that you will never understand.
You don't even possess your own men. $1,000 to the man who kills him and sets me free.
What are you gonna say now?
They are even bigger fools than you.
No doubt.
The law will find you. Already, the dogs are on the way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're right. You are so right.
They are good at smelling filth, huh? So filth has got to be disposed of!
But let's strip away the layers for a moment. Beneath the strategies, heists, and shootouts lies a man grappling with change. Not just the change around him, but within him. It's a universal story. Just as one might grapple with existential dread of a midlife crisis and dropping lifetime earnings on a shitty sports car, so does Dutch grapple with the death of his vision. A dream that seems increasingly distant with each sunrise. His transformation is a cautionary tale, not of crime or ambition, but of clinging too tightly to a past that no longer exists. Of failing to adapt, to change, to evolve. As the world marches forward, Dutch's internal compass spins wildly, searching for a new direction. And as any navigator will tell you, a spinning compass always spells disaster.
And Mike, we need to talk. Figure out some things.
Of course, boss. Figure out what?
The plan. Getting out of here. Nothing's changed.
It hasn't, huh?
Every leader, no matter how mighty or insignificant, carries with them two sides. It's like the dual faces of a coin, one that inspires and uplifts, and another that manipulates and exploits. Dutch Van Der Linde isn't any different. His leadership within the gang is, in many ways, a masterclass in charisma and charm, but also in cunning and control. From the get-go, Dutch's magnetic aura is palpable. At the beginning of the story, as the gang trudges through the snowy Grizzly Mountains, facing one of their darkest hours, it's Dutch's voice that keeps hope alive. His words, drenched in conviction and promise, are the beacon that guides the gang. They look up to him, not just as a leader, but as a savior. His ability to motivate and uplift during such dire times is nothing short of extraordinary. But as with most things, there's another side to this coin. For example, during his encounter with Eagle Flies, Dutch quickly sizes up the situation and without missing a beat, sees an opportunity. While he projects a facade of empathy, he's actually weaving a new alliance into his intricate plans. It's a testament to his cunning, presenting a genuine concern while manipulating the situation to serve the gang's interests. Or if we're honest, his interests.
Dutch Van Der Linde, how do you do?
Not well, sir.
Well, I am sorry to hear that.
How's your father?
Father is confused. Wisdom with weakness. His people, my people. We've suffered too much. Been lied to too much. Now they've taken our horses.
Who?
The infantry division posted at Fort Wallace.
Why?
Colonel Favors is a liar and a murderer. His people won't stop until we're all dead. Without horses, we cannot hunt. Without hunting, we will starve. This is another act of war.
I see that.
Men have helped me before, and I have money.
Put your money away, son. What do you think, Charles?
You know I told your father I will not fight over some horses.
But I made no such promise.
Now, it's easy to label Dutch as merely manipulative, but that would be an oversimplification. It's more intricate than that. Leadership, especially in the world Dutch navigates, isn't black or white. It's painted in shades of grey. Every decision, every action is a delicate dance between doing what's right for the group and what's necessary for survival. The pressures, both external and internal, continuously shape and reshape the contours of Dutch's leadership. The landscape of the Wild West is changing throughout the story, and so is Dutch. For every heartwarming moment where he seems to genuinely care for his gang, there's another where he seems to be willing to risk it all for his own ends. This duality, the blend of magnetism and manipulation, is what makes Dutch's leadership so intriguing. It's a reflection of the turbulent world he inhabits and the shifting sands he tries to build his dream upon, even if this dream is unrealistic. But then again, aren't dreams supposed to be like that? When we think of leaders throughout history and fiction, duality is often at their core. Consider Michael Corleone from The Godfather, a man who deeply loved his family, yet was capable of cold-blooded decisions for what he perceived as greater good. Like him, Dutch Van Der Linde embodies this duality. Dutch's leadership isn't about the binary of good versus evil. It's a profound exploration of the complexities that come with power, loyalty, and ambition in a rapidly changing world. One where leaders, despite their strengths and flaws, are as much products of their environment as they are the architects of their destiny. It's a complex dance where even the most skilled can miss a step. Or another way to put it.
Right to...
You okay there?
Working it all out. Once and for all, Arthur.
What now?
We're back, and I'm sitting here, and I am contemplating the great journey of the sun and considering a famous chess move.
In the vast, sprawling narrative of Red Dead Redemption 2, few relationships are as pivotal as those Dutch shares with Arthur Morgan and Micah Bell. Both men orbit Dutch in a vastly different ways, offering contrasting perspectives into his psyche and decisions, mirroring the push and pull of his internal struggles. At the heart of it all is Arthur Morgan, the reliable right-hand man who he raised like a son. From the earliest days, Arthur and Dutch shared a bond thicker than blood. Dutch was more than just a leader to Arthur, he was a mentor and a father figure. The two of them, along with Hosea, were the cornerstones upon which the Van Der Linde gang rested. Yet as the pressures of a changing world, the onslaught of relentless enemies, and the weight of his own ambitions start to bear down on Dutch, a new influence begins to rise within the gang's ranks: Micah Bell. As a newcomer, Micah brings with him a kind of unabashed loyalty and a ruthless edge that Dutch, in his growing desperation, seems to find both reassuring and necessary. This shift in Dutch's inner circle doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow transition marked by quiet moments of doubt and whispered conversations until you're already face to face with this drastic change. You can fault Micah for many things, but he is incredible in reading Dutch's vulnerabilities, and he feeds into his paranoia, further isolating Arthur and sowing discord in the group. One of the saddest things is to see how Arthur becomes physically weaker, while Micah's influence grows stronger. It's a haunting juxtaposition. The once unbreakable bond between Arthur and Dutch shows signs of strain, while Micah tightens his hold over Dutch's decisions.
Excuse me?
Was you followed?
You know who you're talking to.
I ain't sure. I ain't sure about much no more. All I know is there's law whenever you're around.
Is that so? Because it seems to me that since you've been riding with us, there ain't been nothing but trouble. Stirring things up all the time, getting in Dutch's ear. Seems wherever you is, there's Pinkertons and vice versa. So you better watch your goddamn mouth, boy! Or...
Take it easy, cowboy. You're gonna do yourself a mischief way you're heading.
Micah, shut it!
He started it! Dutch says we is to go on with plans to create a diversion. We gotta get some explosives to blow up the bridge. Keep the army out of here a few days.
I think it's a real bad idea.
I don't think Dutch cares too much what you think.
That's clear.
However, it's essential to remember that Dutch's descent into mistrust and paranoia isn't just about individual relationships. It's a reflection of the broader chaos engulfing him. The pressures of leading a gang in a dying era, the challenges of upholding his ideals against mounting odds, and the lurking shadows of betrayal, they all converge, causing Dutch to seek solace in those who echo his desperation, like Micah. This dynamic between Dutch, Arthur, and Micah offers not just drama and conflict, but a deep, soulful exploration into human condition of trust, betrayal, ambition, and the harrowing cost of survival.
We hid, but they took Abigail.
Who did?
Agent Milton and his men took her to Van Horn to be put on a boat and tried for murder.
I am sorry to hear that.
We gotta let her go. John's, well, sorry, son. Without John, she's just bait. Got a bunch of money, Dutch. She's just a girl. They won't do nothing to her. But me and the boys know. Yep. We need to keep riding on this one, Dutch. You know it. Every man here knows
So we
it.
just gonna let the boy be made an orphan?
It ain't like that.
What is it like?
I wanna live, cowpoke. I still got the choice. Dutch, it's just a girl.
You're right.
Micah, it pains me to say it, Arthur, but he's right.
In Red Dead Redemption 2, the narrative isn't simply presented. It's embroidered with symbols that weave depth and layers of meaning. One of the most powerful themes of the story is Dutch's passionate resistance against the New World, of course. While trains represent the mechanization of progress, other markers lay bare the shifting dynamics of the era. The vast wilderness, sprawling cities, and magnates like Leviticus Cornwall all serve as signposts of an evolving landscape. Consider the sightings of eagles soaring in the skies as you explore this vast world. They symbolize freedom and a higher perspective, much like Dutch's ambitions and his desire to live free from the shackles of a regulated society. This majestic bird's flight contrasts sharply with the invasion of industrial chains on the ground below. Then there's the campfire, a heartbeat of the gang's daily life. It embodies community, unity, and nostalgia for simpler times. As the world outside changes, the campfire remains a constant, representing Dutch's desire to hold on to a simpler, communal way of life. The landscape is also scarred by the oil operations in the heartlands. Representing the merciless extraction in the quest for progress, they underscore humanity's ceaseless ambition, often to nature's detriment. Dutch's disdain for such endeavors highlights his clash with the unchecked capitalism and industrialization. The contrast between the gang's rugged campsites and the modernized cities like Saint-Denis is jarring. The camp, with its closeness to nature, represents a sanctuary of the old ways. In contrast, Saint-Denis is this beacon of the new world, bustling, chaotic, and impersonal. The targeting of Cornwall's assets, like his train, becomes a symbolic act of defiance. Here, Dutch isn't merely resisting a man, but what he represents: industrial might and the relentless march of progress. However, there's a tragic beauty in Dutch's rebellion. Despite his charisma and determination, the storm of the new world is inevitable. His struggle is reminiscent of a valiant warrior facing a force far greater than himself.
And to what do we owe the pleasure, Agent Moron?
I don't know if you're aware, but this is a civilized land now. We didn't kill all them savages only to allow the likes of you to act like human dignity, and basic decency was outmoded or not yet invented. This thing, it's done.
This place ain't no such thing as civilized. It's man, so in love with greed, he has forgotten himself and found only appetites.
And as a consequence, that lets you take what you please, kill whom you please, and hang the rest of us? Who made you the messiah to these lost souls you've led so horribly astray?
I'm nothing but a seeker, Mr. Milton.
You ain't much of anything more than a killer, Mr. Van Der Linde.
There's a certain depth to Dutch that's hauntingly profound. I genuinely believe he knew, somewhere deep down, that his fight was a losing one. But he wasn't fighting for the gang's dreams, he was fighting for his own. The promises of Tahiti, the grand tales of uncharted territories, these weren't just for the gang. They were, in many ways, for himself. Every time he spoke of a new beginning, I couldn't help but think he was trying to convince himself as much as he was trying to convince the gang. As the world shifted around him, he clung tighter to these visions, these anchors. He was resisting the destruction of his own sense of self, of his purpose. And I can't shake the feeling that for Dutch, it wasn't about the money or even the dream of escaping to some tropical paradise. No, he needed the gang to believe in those things, so he could continue his true battle. His fight wasn't only against the tangible changes of the world, it was against everything those changes represented. His journey isn't just the tale of a gang leader in a changing world, it's the raw human story of a man trying to hold on to his identity, his beliefs, his very essence, when everything around him is telling him to let it go. When I look at Dutch, I see a bit of myself in him. I've had those moments where my dreams felt distant, and the real battle wasn't with the world outside, but with the doubts and fears I faced in my own heart. And as any therapist would point out, the key to facing our challenges is not trying to control everything and everyone around us. Instead, we need to look inside to reflect and understand ourselves better. Unfortunately for Dutch, there were no therapists in the 1890s. His eyes were always set on the world around him, rarely ever looking inward.
New York? We are gonna go to New York. Now, they have been chasing us south and east and west. We're gonna get a boat, we're gonna get on a river, and we're gonna go north.
New York.
Then Tahiti, the Fiji Islands, or this place, New Guinea, dancing girls, freedom. But first, we have to make a whole lot of smoke, a whole lot of commotion. And then we disappear.
We need more commotion?
1 score and 1 whole hell of a lot of noise.
We ain't so good at doing scores anymore, Dutch.
Are you feeling all right, Arthur?
Dutch Van Der Linde is not just a game character to me. He feels real, representative. He's not only fighting other outlaws, he's taking on the progression of time itself. Every word he says feels heavy, meaningful. His struggle isn't just to stay alive, he's trying to hold on to something bigger, a way of life. A life defined by genuine freedom, real loyalty, and the belief that no dream is too big. But, like all of us, Dutch can't escape time. His once steadfast vision starts to waver, not because of treachery or foes, but because of the world changing around him. Watching him, I felt both compassion and anger as he tries to navigate this chaos. But haven't we all, at some point, felt like we don't belong in today's fast-paced world, filled with social media or other nonsense, and simply longing for simpler moments, or feel anxious about what's next? Dutch, in all his charm and mess, makes me think. His journey into doubt and unpredictability shows how any of us might react when faced with change. At its heart, Red Dead Redemption 2 throws several questions at us, and some of them are not that simple to answer. How do we determine which way of life holds more value? Can we truly say one era, one lifestyle is superior to another? Do we push against the change, or do we roll with it and find where we belong? You know, writing this script made me think more about the aspect of change. When the world's changing all around you, is it worth putting up a fight? Or are we just caught in the tide, trying our best to swim? And what about you, the one who's watching this video? When you look at your own life, as things keep changing, where do you fit in? Are you the one resisting, adapting, or paving new paths? Diving into Dutch's story, I felt like I was exploring more than just a character's arc. It's about life's fleeting moments. It reminds me that we're all trying to keep our balance as life keeps moving, always changing. And as we finish with this retrospective, and Dutch Van Der Linde becomes a shadow again, I hope we all find our own way, making our mark in the story of time, just like the man who stood up against the incoming tide of a new era, knowing that he can't win.
Then give up, Dutch. But I can't give up, neither. I can't fight my own nature. That's a paradox, John. You see?
Then I have to shoot you.
When I'm gone, they'll just find another monster. They have to. Because they have to justify their wages.
That's their business.
Our time has passed, John.
If you enjoyed this video, I also made a video on Arthur Morgan and his story, so feel free to check it out next. Thanks for watching.